So, for my first video in a very long time, I want to talk to you about transgender issues. I know I've covered this in a video before. I've talked about my personal feelings on this whole topic, but as people who have gone through being gay or transgender or anything might know, this is an evolving process. It's not something you just wake up one day, at least generally, and say, I know exactly what I need to do now and who I want to be next. You have to try it out for a while. You have to sort of wear the shoes and see if they fit, and then see how well they fit. In my case, as the transgender issue applied, for the longest time I knew that I felt more feminine than masculine, and if you really want to know the whole story, the other video exists. You can check it out. In fact, I recommend you do if you want a context for this video. Over time, having tried on these shoes and figuring out that they fit remarkably well, I have moved on to say that yes, in fact, I am a transgender person. But what does that mean? There's a particular video linked down below that I would like you all to check out if you really don't understand this topic so well, because I could go on a long explanation about it, about what it entails and everything, but I think it's been covered by other people much better than I. So check that out if you want some background on it, and then come back to this video. Okay, that done, what is in your brain does not match or need to match what you wear biologically on the outside. Yes, I might have a penis, but what that says about my gender is nothing. Just because you have a penis does not mean that all of the cultural and symbolic aspects of being a man will apply to that person. Hairbow, right? That's not masculine. But I like it. It's comfortable. It feels good. It expresses who I feel like in here. And really, if we are not who we are up here, but instead, if we are who we wear, if we are what parts we have only, then what's the point of having a brain? What's the point of having an identity at all, then, if we are just a composite of the pieces that make us up? What is the point, then, of having a consciousness and identity if we're going to force everybody to be constrained by the most obvious characteristics they possess? I really am asking people, what is the point of having a higher identity in a human consciousness if we immediately turn around and tell people that yes, you have a higher consciousness that can grasp at greater ideas and realize an identity that goes far beyond this base human shell? Why have it? Why even cultivate it if we're going to pretend that it doesn't exist? In fact, I'd go so far as to say that telling people that they cannot be anything more than their physical aspects is to deny the mind entirely. It's to tell people that no, you don't have a consciousness that can reason out the greater truths of who you are. No, you don't in fact have a grasp of who you are that goes beyond what we can see about you. It's basically telling everybody you are exactly what you appear to be and can be nothing else. That seems pretty wrong, doesn't it? Can't you be a white pastor who plays video games? Can't you be any number of examples that fly in the face of what people would categorize you based on your appearance? To use a more racist line of thinking, because it chains right into it. This is like finding a black person who is cultured, intelligent, speaks well, has a college degree, and makes good money. But you have, in essence, the racists who look at that and say, well, either that can't be true, or the white people helped him do it, or something. It's that same sort of thinking. When you look at a man and say, ah, that's a man. He must embrace masculinity. He must like sports. He must do this, that, and the other because he has a penis. It's more or less the same kind of thinking. You're being bigoted. You are defining to them who they are and who they must be, despite your complete ignorance of who they actually are, what they have gone through, the experiences that have shaped their existence. You deny all of that and say, because you have a packaging that fits this expectation, that is all you can ever be. And for transgendered people, that is exactly what the world makes you feel like. That, oh, well, you happen to be assigned this particular package at birth. So this is all you are ever allowed to be. And I understand that it is difficult for people to see outside of their own perspective. And I'm not going to judge you for that. But if you want a more inclusive and understanding world, and not just for transgendered people or LGBT people or minorities, but for everyone and anyone who is anything even slightly different than what the societal norms tell them they must be, then you need to look beyond your own perspective. I get that as a cisgendered person with maybe limited or no experience with anything in the LGBT community, that you don't understand. That you look at someone and say, yes, I'm biologically male, but I am ideologically female, basically. You look at that and you say, well, I don't get it. And that's fine. I'm not going to harp on you for not understanding. But when your lack of understanding is allowed to transform into restriction and bigotry, where you say, because I don't understand this, I can't allow it, that's when we have a problem. That's when you cross that line from understandable human condition to bigotry. And you might say, well, I'm not a bigot, I just don't like it. Okay, and again, that's fine. You don't have to like it. It's not required of you to like what anyone does. And I'm not going to be there to tell you, you have to accept it or you have to like it. What you have to do, though, is, if nothing else, leave those other people alone. Leave us alone if you don't like it and don't understand it. When you say, because I view the world this way, the world needs to work this way, you approached a level of arrogance that is almost unfathomable. That I view the world in such a way, and it makes sense if it works this way to me, so this is how everyone needs to work. Pretty shitty. If we were to flip the tables, wouldn't it really suck if this felt right to you? That, oh, well, I have this part, and it aligns with who I am, and it makes sense, and everyone's telling you, well, no, you're a freak for that. You need to switch what you're doing because it doesn't fit what we say is right. But you feel that it's right. You know that it's right to you. You just know. People ask all the time, well, how can you know? Like, how do you know that that's right? Do you know what you're doing? And it's like, well, if you were in this position, it's just as, how do you know as a cisgendered person that's right for you? You just know, don't you? You know that you're a man attracted to a woman. You know that you're a man who is comfortable with having a penis and with being masculine. You just know it, right? You don't have to have somebody tell you that that's okay. That's who you are. Well, I promise you that it works the exact same way for transgendered people, for bisexual people, for gay people, that they know too. It's not a mistake. It's not a, let me try this out for a couple days because I feel experimental. And for a few people, okay, fine, that could be true. But for the vast majority of people who fit in the LGBT label, you're not running into the problem of people just trying things out because they feel experimental, or they're in college drinking and they feel like having some fun. No, what you really run into is people who feel deep inside of themselves, as they're exposed to what they're supposed to be, that this is wrong, that this is not for them. And, well, how are you supposed to say no to that to yourself? Well, other people want you to be this. Screw other people. Isn't life about making yourself happy? About feeling right to who you are? Being honest to yourself? To quote the bard, Shakespeare, above all else, to thine own self be true. Can you honestly live with the idea of making somebody else into a lie of themselves? Because, well, if you are telling transgendered people to just hide it, to get over it, or to convert with therapy, that's what you're telling them to do, basically, is who you truly are isn't good enough for the world. It isn't right for us. So you need to change the fundamental core essence of your being to make us more comfortable. Isn't that pretty fucked up? Like, just throwing it out there. That people are so ignorant at times and so bigoted against things that are different that we are willing to tell people you cannot be who you truly are and must exist in abject misery, living a lie, just to make us feel a little better. Can you honestly, truly look at that and say, that's fair, that's right, that's even mildly okay? I don't think so. And that's not just me being transgendered, I think, speaking out that that's wrong. I think anybody in any situation who was put into that particular place would hate it and be miserable too. If you're a Christian and they tell you, you must now be Muslim, or else. Is that fair? Is that right? Would you do it? Would you feel right doing it? I would say no. So before you judge other people, especially in the transgender community, who are already putting up with a lot of internal confusion, a lot of their own shame, because, as a quick note to put it out there, this isn't just a process where you wake up one day and go, hey, this is who I am. It's great. No, there's an entire process where you go, wait, what? This is me? I do this? But this is hard. This doesn't seem right. The 100 things will go through your head. There's plenty of shame, questioning, self-doubt that comes from this without other people telling you, oh, well, you need to feel shame. We already do. And it's not even your fault exactly. It's the greater society that tells us we all have to fit a certain pre-packaged system. And think about other people around you and think about yourself. Think about all the times that you didn't fit in with whatever the larger group was saying. Think about your school days where you weren't in the most popular group maybe. Or at work where you aren't in the top clique of people in power and where what you are is not the most desirable element. Can you put yourself in those shoes just a little bit where because of some element of yourself that you like but other people don't, you have been forced aside and shamed because of it? Do you want to do that to someone else just because of some element of themselves that they can't help and don't intend to harm you with? I would hope not. Just something to think about.